So we've spent lots of hours over the last couple of days talking about your and my favorite subject, copyrights and licensing.
I love copyrights and I live for copyrights and law.
Who doesn't?
You know, it was the highlight of the symposium for me.
I think it was.
It was, absolutely.
I know that's what we're going to see in the evaluations.
The room was crowded. I just feel sorry for the people that missed our copyright session.
It is heartbreaking, but, you know, it's a decision they made.
That's right. That's right. It's good we're here to help them out.
Indeed we are.
That's right.
So walk us through a little bit of how we structure. This is a big topic. People are terrified of it. It's complicated. Tell us a little bit about how you broke it down so that it gets to be a little more digestible.
Great. Okay, so what we did in this particular copyright session that's a little bit different from the past is we divided the licensing and copyrights into 4 different tiers to help people understand that even if you reach one tier, there may be other issues that you still need to address. So tier 1 was basically how you purchase the music. And within that tier, we covered everything from purchasing printed music to purchasing music that's out of print, to original manuscripts, and to arranging. So those were all part of tier 1. Mm-hmm. And then tier 2 was the issue of the rights to actually perform the music once you've purchased it. So that's a totally...
You mean I don't have the right to perform it even if I purchased legal sheet music?
You don't, actually. Well, you do, but you need to pay for those rights.
Oh,
and
okay.
every chorus needs to pay for these rights. The way you do that is by paying your BMI and ASCAP fees.
Ah.
Now, Robin, do you know what BMI and ASCAP are?
Well, I don't think I could give you the definition of the acronyms, but I do know they are the 2 places where composers are registered and I'm paying for my right to perform that piece of music.
And how would you find out how to go about paying your BMI and ASCAP fees?
I would go to the GALA Online Resource Center first.
Gosh, that's a great idea.
And I'd look in the copyrights section.
Excellent.
And I'm willing to bet in the copyrights section I would find something that says performance rights. And I'd look under there, and there's where I would find how do I locate ASCAP, how do I locate BMI, and what do I need to do?
Perfect. Okay, you're good. You're really good.
I try.
Okay, so tier 1 again was purchasing your music. Tier 2 is paying for your performance rights. Tier 3 is if you want to go ahead and record that music and distribute it pretty much to anybody. And on that copyright section in the Resource Center, there's also a whole bunch of information about recording music. It's called a mechanical license. Mm-hmm. So you can go to that same section and find that information. Because those are our first 3 tiers. And our advanced copyright section got into the big kind of scary rights.
Okay.
Well, they don't have to be scary. I think we made them very manageable.
Well, we certainly tried, but why don't we talk a little bit about things that we heard in the sessions that would be of interest to everybody, even including the folks who weren't able to be with us at Symposium.
Brilliant. I like that.
We particularly tried in these sessions to talk not only with artistic directors, who are the individuals who are usually responsible for obtaining the different copyrights, but also to board members, and trying to help board members understand that at the end of the day, the chorus is responsible for being in compliance with copyrights. And while they can assign that work to their artistic director, they can't assign responsibility for whether the group's in compliance or not. So we got a lot of heads coming up from their notebooks and saying, whoa, wait a minute, we don't have anybody who knows anything about copyright.
On our board in particular.
On our board.
Right, right.
So we talked a lot about the notion that, well, it has to be somebody's role to make sure that your chorus is in compliance. And that needs to be more than a quick nod in the head from your artistic director when you say, have we done everything legally for this particular concert? Oh, sure, is not a sufficient answer. Mm-hmm. What kind of documentation do you use with your chorus to keep a record that you've been in compliance for a particular concert?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if I license a piece of music, let's say it's an arrangement or I'm reprinting an out of print piece of music, I pretty much do three things. One is I copy that, or I print that license, and I put a physical copy of the license in the library with the printed music. Then I also save an electronic version, a Word document or a PDF, in my electronic files in the office, so that, and I tag it by the name of the piece and the composer so I can search for it and look for it later. But the third thing that I do, I'm just starting to do this, is if I'm copying the piece of music with permission, at the bottom of each piece of music, I will write a little sentence that says, this piece of music has been licensed by so-and-so on this date. I have permission to print this many copies. And now what the publishers are, some of them are requiring is how long that license is valid. So they are putting some time limits on them. So Hal Leonard, for example, sometimes you'll request a license and it's only good for a year. And if you perform the piece later, after a year, you have to relicense that piece.
So a piece of music that I have in my library that I purchased from J.W. Pepper, I can perform forever, but if I went out and purchased an arrangement, it may be time limited, and even if it's sitting in my library, I don't have the right to sing it again.
It depends when you licensed it. If you licensed it back before they were doing that, and you have the agreement and it says nothing about a time limitation, you should be okay, as long as you have that paperwork.
Okay.
But if it's a more recent license, check the way the license is written, and it may have a time limit on it.
So what were some of the topics that clearly have come up over the last year or so where choruses were finding themselves sideways with some of the music publishers? What kinds of things came up in the last year that seemed to be a problem for our choruses?
Yeah, I think one of the most common issues that comes up is a chorus learns about an arrangement from another choir. And they really like it. They hear it at a festival and they want to bring it to their community and perform this piece. The really important red flag is the chorus that first performed that piece cannot give you permission to use it. The arranger who arranged that piece cannot give you permission, because when someone arranges a piece of music, the copyright still belongs to the original copyright holder, not the arranger.
Oh, wow.
I know.
So if I call the arranger and say, I heard your arrangement at festival and I really want to do that in my chorus, can you send me a copy? How should he or she respond?
The arranger or the chorus?
Yeah, the arranger.
Yeah. So the arranger, assuming they no longer own or they don't own rights to that particular arrangement, they should have you go to the publisher and get permission to, they would be able to send you a perusal copy. So perhaps the arranger should put perusal copy only across the piece or only give you a portion of the piece. But you need to get that permission from the original copyright holder, probably the publisher in that case, in order to perform the piece.
And this is one that we've seen be a problem for a number of our member choruses who just don't understand that an arrangement does not belong to the arranger or to the chorus. It still belongs to the original copyright holder.
Yes. And if you go onto the GALA Resource Center, you can find some steps to take to figure out how to then get that piece relicensed for your chorus.
Okay.
We've had really great success with Alfred Music. They offer something called a sub-out license. You can just log into their website and request a sub-out license if the piece was originally arranged and licensed through Alfred. We're working on a similar kind of agreement with Hal Leonard. Tresona Media also offers some resources to help with sub-out licenses.
Now, I heard there were also some problems that came up this year related to this topic of grand rights. And I've read that definition and I have no idea what grand rights are or when I might need them or who I'm supposed to get them from.
You actually do have an idea because you did this workshop. Okay, I'll give it a stab. And this one's complicated. So grand rights are basically, especially if you're doing a piece from Broadway, a piece from Disney that originated with choreography or costumes, grand rights basically say if you're doing an entire show of music from an existing show, or you're doing one or two pieces, and you're adding things like choreography that we actually saw in the show, costuming that represents characters in the show, you actually need to pay these grand rights in order to add those elements to your performance. Now, it's different if you're just standing and singing on the risers, or if you're adding some minimal kind of movement, the sort of hands and jazz hands that we sometimes add. So be thinking about what kinds of things you're adding to pieces, especially if they're Broadway or Disney Connect.
Now, all this is really interesting, but boy, I'm not sure I still understand enough to make sure that my chorus is in compliance. So where can I turn for help if I've watched this and I've looked at what's on the website, but I'm still not sure I know what I need to do to make sure my chorus is in compliance? Where can I get help?
If you still have questions, again, go to the GALA Resource Center. There's a little search bar, and you can just type copyright or license or grand rights, and it'll get you right to the page that you're interested in.
Well, thanks for your time this afternoon, Jane.
You're very welcome. I'm just sorry all of you missed this amazingly fun workshop.
Well, I know copyrights and licensing is the top thing that you want to talk about.
It is, absolutely.